Hello, I'm Emma and this is the 10-Minute Quilter. This is the second in a series of videos that is aimed at the beginner and someone who is looking to start out with patchwork and quilting. In the first video we talked a little bit about the fabric and how it's displayed and how and where you can purchase it. In this video I'd like to talk a little bit about the quantities that you can buy your fabric in and also some of the fabric terminology that you may hear with regards to patchwork fabric. So you're in the patchwork shop, you've chosen that one bolt of fabric that you cannot leave the shop without. Not always one in my case, but there you go. And you take it to the counter and you're going to ask the ladies to cut you some fabric. Now, some shops have a minimum cut. Some shops will not cut you anything less than a metre or a yard. Some shops will cut just half a yard or half a metre, depending where you are in the world. Some shops will cut you whatever you want, really. They're not bothered. But most fabric shops now do have a minimum cut. Now, patchwork and quilting, we very often do all of our cutting and measuring in inches and yards. Most modern patterns and books will give you both, so yards and metres. Here in the UK, we do all of our measuring and cutting in yards and inches, but we have to sell it in metres. So any fabric shop worth their salt will be able to do the conversion for you and give you the equivalent in metres. So you go to the counter. If you're buying for a pattern, that's quite easy. All you do is say to the ladies, here's my pattern and this is how much I require. In my experience, most patchwork pattern designers do include a little bit extra for leeway, but I always think it's worth getting a little extra, just in case. Just in case, you never know. We all do it, you know, we'll all cut a 3-inch strip when we should have cut a 3.5-inch strip. It happens to the best of us, it really does. So in my experience, it's always worth having a little bit extra, just in case. Just in case, you never know. So, and presumably if you've bought it, you like it, so it's not going to go to waste. The extra will go into your stash and you can use it for other projects along the line. Now, that may be a metre, which will look, you know, something like sort of there-ish. It may be half a metre. Or it may be a quarter of a metre. So a half a metre looks like that. And if you were to cut that in half and have a quarter, it would be like so, and it would be a long, don't forget this is folded double, so it'll be a long thin strip like this. Now you may hear a term that is used very often, which is an FQ, a fat quarter, and these are very common cuts in patchwork and quilting. So that was a long thin quarter that I just showed you. To get a fat quarter, what we do is we take the half a metre or yard, depending on what it is, and you can see that it's folded into, if I can get it open, it's folded into along that fold just there. So to get a fat quarter, what we do is we cut it apart along that fold line, and you end up with two pieces, and one of those will be your fat quarter. So it's still technically a quarter, but it's a fat one as opposed to a long thin one. And fat quarters are a great way of starting out if you're not quite sure what fabrics you like, or if you're doing a smaller project, then they're really good because fabric shops sell them individually, but they also put them up into nice little bundles like this that will coordinate, they'll all go together, and you usually get about 6 in a pack like that, and so it's just taken away one of the decisions for you. So, you know, you've got your lovely fabric, but it might have some planes in it that will coordinate, so it just takes one of that process away from you, and it, you know, they're a bit addictive. They are. So let's talk about another phrase that you'll hear very often in quilt shops and anything quilt related, pre-cuts. So pre-cuts are literally that. It's fabric that has been pre-cut into a specific shape for you by a die cutting machine. So you can pretty much guarantee that they are going to be all the same size. Now, this is a charm pack. So this is a 5-inch square, and in that pack you will receive every single one of that fabric designer's range. Now, they've standardised these, so there are now 42 squares in each pack. They did used to vary, but they've now standardised it. 42 in each pack, so as a result of which you will get a little bit of repetition. So some of them may be repeated and you'll end up with two of some of them. So in olden days, a true charm quilt was a quilt that was made using a specific shape. But every single fabric used in that quilt was a different fabric. So folks would beg, borrow and steal fabric to make a true charm quilt. There is a bit of repetition with these, but it's still great. Now, these are all by a company called Moda, which is one of the big American fabric companies. And when they started doing these, they obviously realised that this was a good thing. And there've been lots of spin-offs as a result of that. One of which is this. So this is a candy pack. So we're now looking at a 2.5-inch square as opposed to the 5. And you can see that you'd probably get 4, you would get 4 of those out of a charm pack. So these are about £4 or £5 maybe. A charm pack, probably anywhere between £10 and £15. But you could very quickly just put those together and you would have a lovely baby quilt. You could put them together and put a border around them and you would end up with a single bed lap size quilt very easily. So they're great because they take away a little bit of the work for you. So from that, we've got the candy pack, we've got the charm pack. We then go up to a layer cake. This is now dealing with a 10-inch square as opposed to the 5, and again you can see you would get 4 of those out of a layer cake. So you're dealing with a much bigger size square, which obviously gives you more scope for doing different things with it. And a layer cake probably will cost you anywhere from probably, I would say, about £27 up to about £35. So they're not cheap, but it's easing that process for you because you know it's going to go together and it's going to fit and you know that it's going to coordinate. Then we've got jelly rolls. So this is a jelly roll. So we are now dealing with a 2.5-inch width strip from the fabric. So it's a long thin strip, 2.5 inches wide, and again you get 1, usually 2, some of them are doubled up, and it's then rolled up into this lovely roll and it's tied up with a ribbon and they just look so pretty that you just tend to leave them on the shelf because they're just too nice to unwrap. And when you unwrap it, the magic sort of goes away a little bit and you have to do something with it. But very versatile, very versatile. They sometimes come like this, they sometimes come in long thin strips like so. I'm not sure whether that jelly roll has been trademarked, maybe by Moda, but anyway, sometimes they come in packs like so as well. You can also get hexagons, and there was one time when you used to be able to get a triangle, which was known as a turnover, but I'm not sure if they do those anymore now. I'm not sure they were as popular as the charm packs. So these are what's known as precuts. They are very versatile. There are so many patterns out there using precuts. And in fact, if you go onto the Moda website, they have so many free patterns that you can download to make items with, which is great. You cannot pre-wash these. If you were to put these into the washing machine and pre-wash them, you would immediately lose the advantage of the die cut shape. It would just, it would just end up a horrible mess in your machine. So no pre-washing of pre-cuts. Right, I hope that's been of some use to you, and I hope it's maybe explained a little bit about the quantities that you can buy your fabric in, and also the amount of pre-cuts there are available as well. Thank you very much. Join me next time when we'll be talking about rotary cutting. Take care. Bye.